We got a big show, and I want to get right to it. So why don't we begin with the CNN interview that took place last night with the brothers on the issue of being canceled, fired by HGTV for their comments, allegedly, for their comments, though it wasn't direct in the outline, but their comments about the culture war that we are in and the homosexual agenda. Roll it.
If 87% of Americans are Christians, and yet we have abortion on demand, we have no-fault divorce, we have pornography and perversion, we have a homosexuality in the agenda that's attacking the nation.
Do you still stand by that, a homosexuality and an agenda that's attacking the nation?
If you continue to play that out, you will see that I talked about all of these other things and that the church has remained silent and just sat and built big churches. And one of the things that's important is that never have I ever spoken against homosexuals as individuals and gone against them. I speak about an agenda, and that's really what the point of this is that there is an agenda that is seeking to silence the voices of men and women of faith. And that's what all this is about. Absolutely, I believe that any sex outside of marriage, no matter what kind of sex it is just not healthy for human flourishing, and for before God. I think it's just a very important thing that we just set the record straight, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to say directly to the camera that we love homosexuals and we love Muslims and we have absolutely nothing against the people.
Well, I don't want to get into it.
And just there's a difference between the people and an agenda.
Ben, you hear that?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, and we talk about that all the time. We hate the sin, we love the sinner, and you made the comment last. I wish I would have gotten that. Because you made the exact same point last week about, physical relations, sexual relations outside of marriage, that's sin. Go ahead.
And as he mentioned, it's also not good for human flourishing. If any sex outside of marriage, whether it's before, after, or during, is not helpful for human flourishing, particularly during. It's one of the very few things that a vast majority of Americans completely agree is immoral in every way, shape, or form. If you're married to someone, you should not be having sex with anyone else. And a Pew Research poll looked into that, found the vast majority of Americans believe in that. And, of course, that undermines the family unit. And when you have children, that destroys their family unit. And as we know, children who are brought up either by one parent or the other or by someone who is not a parent at all, tend to have more what are known as catastrophic events in their lives as a result of that family unit being undermined. So he's completely on point, totally backed up by scientific research, and according to HGTV and the Hollywood elite, totally untouchable.
Here's part 2 of that clip, Aaron Burnett's show last night, CNN, and this goes to the anger. They're really looking. It's amazing. Well, roll it.
Aren't you angry at HGTV? You had a heart-to-heart with them, you got through this, and then a blog comes out and they run for cover?
Not at all. Our heart breaks for HGTV. We had such a great relationship, and we still do with several of the folks there. Our heart breaks for them. That the same thing that happens all the time when one view is able to be put out there, but then if you represent what we believe would be pro-family, the pro-family view, you're not allowed to have that anymore. And I believe that HG was pushed into this, but we have nothing but love and admiration for all the folks at HG. We felt like HG was bullied. We felt that HG knew who we were. They believed in us. They believed in our show and our expertise in real estate. They were willing to take a chance with us. And we were putting out some great footage. We're halfway through filming and it got cut off. But when this all of this media firestorm happened around some of my comments, it was too much for them to bear, and they had to make a business decision. But we absolutely respect HGTV, and we really love those folks.
Ben, what can we take from that? What can we learn from that?
Well, first of all, the first thing we can learn is that Christianity makes you incredibly gracious, even to those who persecute you. Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, Jesus said in the Sermon on the Mount. And you can tell the Benham brothers took that to heart. I mean, listen to that grace, which is probably more than I would be able to extend under the circumstances. Very
Yeah,
gracious
well, real
and
quick,
loving.
they guess what? They're never going to be in talk radio with that kind of grace.
That's right. You got to be a jerk like me to be in talk radio. You can't be decent
Yeah.
like them.
Right.
But, yeah,
No
when
grace
it comes
speak.
to
No grace. All right, go ahead. I'm kidding. I'm calling myself out sometimes on that too. Go ahead. Yes.
Yeah. No, I mean, the Benhams are incredibly gracious toward these people, and they say HGTV was bullied into this position. I spoke with their father, Flip Benham, who founded Operation Save America and was the one who probably introduced them to Christ along with a lot of good people. And Flip said that they've already begun helping 6 different families. The episodes are already in production. They have contractual obligations, and the Benham brothers just yesterday, I believe, said this is going to go forward regardless. We're going to help these families get their dream home, even if there are no cameras, even if HGTV is breaking its contract, because we made a promise. We made a pledge. We're going to help. And by the way, the premise of the show, which was called Flip It Forward, which is going to debut in October, the point of the show was that they found down-and-out families and helped them find dream homes that they couldn't otherwise afford, sort of like a small version of Extreme Makeover. They were going to do that for families all over the place, and they're still going to do it because they made a promise and a pledge to do so. The trouble is that the axis of amorality sort of made a preemptive strike against their show.
I love that. Did you just coin that?
I did, sadly.
That's pretty good, Ben. I really like that, and I know I'm posting your article right now, as I will do during the interview of the Facebook. Keep going. I mean, when you come up with axis of immorality, go ahead. Amorality. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, and forgive me, I didn't mean to speak over, but there's another connection which nobody else has drawn out. There are 2 national stories today that LifeSite News is talking about, and they both intersect in a way that nobody else has talked about, as far as I know. The HGTV canceled the show of the Benham brothers because a blog called Right Wing Watch put out this clip that was supposed to be their extremism. And you heard the clip at the beginning there in the CNN clip.
Yeah.
What they believe is what's believed by 61% of voters in North Carolina when they voted to protect marriage. What they believe on sexual morality is what's believed by the vast majority of Americans. What they believe on homosexuality is what's believed by a plurality of Americans. More Americans believe homosexuality is immoral than believe that it's morally acceptable, according to the Pew Research Center. But nonetheless, they were canned as a result of having these views. One of the things that Right Wing Watch did was post a video of them protesting at an abortion facility in Charlotte, North Carolina, which is where they're from. That abortion facility employs a doctor named Ron Vermani. Ron Vermani was on video a few years ago telling a group that he only aborted, quote, ugly black babies. He was arrested yesterday because 2 hours after HGTV announced that it was going to cancel the show, a woman in Charlotte said she was raped by Ron Vermani, the group that OSA and the Benhams protested.
Well, Ben, I mean, again, these are stories that, as you said, nobody else is covering. And they're looking for, they already have the headline written. They already have it there. They're just going to plug in the events. And what I like about these brothers and what is inspiring to us all is they are speaking grace. They're following through. And the greatest thing about persecution when it comes to Christians is we have an opportunity to combat that false narrative that has been constructed by the left, by those who have no tolerance for other views, and therefore they've got to silence us. And this is a theme, and we're going to be hitting it all throughout the program, and you've covered the idea of silencing others. But has anybody else picked up on that story, Ben, about the fact that they were protesting a man now that we learn has made that despicable comment at that abortion clinic? He was an abortionist. Has anybody else been even mentioning that?
No one has made that connection to the best of my knowledge. I think that you broke it right here on this program. Wow. That's the fact of the matter. So yet another reason to listen to AFR and Nothing But Truth. You broke it. The Benhams were doing their best to put this man out of business. And as an abortionist, he has a long track record hurting women, botching abortions in some cases, and he had a previous quote-unquote improper sexual liaison with a patient back in 1992 that forced him to surrender his medical license for a while. So this isn't as though it were unforeseen. This is exactly what the Benham brothers knew was happening and why they and their father and the entire pro-life movement, which they helped fund in Charlotte, wanted to shut them down. And in fact, the entire facility was shut down for shoddy practices as a, quote, imminent danger to women's health just for a few days back in 2012 or 13. So it's something that they know about. And but according to Right Wing Watch, they're the extremists, and HGTV had to choose which one of these is extreme. Someone who is a racist and an alleged rapist, or evangelical Christians who represent the mainstream of America, particularly heartland America. And they threw the Christians under the bus.
And Ben, you're obviously covering this, and you're bringing us up to speed. What message do we have as we close out? We always have to ask ourselves, what's good about this? What can we do? And I mentioned the fact that this highlights the grace. There's also, you're writing about a movement where people can get involved, if I'm not mistaken.
Absolutely. I mean, two things that are good come out about this. First of all, it shows the forces of real tolerance. You have people who are working against a racist versus people who are trying to shut down everyone who disagrees with them. Second of all, it shows the grace that the Benham brothers are reflecting. And of course, we all know that this is only reflective of the grace that Jesus Christ gives to all of us. And they would like nothing more than for the grace of Christ to shine through them, through their words, through the way that they live and act and treat others, the way that they're going to continue to help these half-dozen families they're already helping. They would like nothing more than people to see that, and the light of Christ so shine through them in their good deeds that it reflects their Father in heaven. That's what they would like, and Lord willing, that's exactly what will happen because of their good testimony.
Do you foresee a time, closing question, where we just go to we already have Christian networks, but completely Christian networks where Christians are allowed to be Christians, and because if you go into the secular world where you're building houses and helping people, and you stand up for your beliefs and voice them, they're not tolerated.
I see nothing but society collapsing around us, and the gulf, the chasm between the two sides of the cultural war getting ever wider, and the barbs getting ever more sharp and pointed. The two sides are constantly going at one another. At one time, the cultural left said, let's just live and let live. Today, there is no tolerance for anyone who disagrees with them. I can see the day where hopefully some Christian-based network or something will pick this show up and allow them to have a voice. Hopefully some Christian alternative to Mozilla will give Brendan Ike his job back, or some similar job.
Gotcha.
But I very much see a time where we're all going to balkanize along these lines, and it's dangerous. We need to come together as Americans.
Amen. Ben Johnson, U.S. Bureau Chief, LifeSite News, and guest host of Crane Durham's Nothing But Truth. I love you, brother. Thanks, man. Posting your article now. AFR Talk.